So I wanted to welcome everyone tonight. This is a very special moment to be here with Altair, who's calling in from Japan, and he's going to be traveling to the U.S. to share his incredible wisdom and experience with ET contact. And tonight, we're going to really open it up. The idea was to do a Q&A, because oftentimes you have a question that someone else has a question about, and it's the same question. And we kind of let the universe guide us as to the material we're going to cover tonight. I also want to let you know that LightNet, the nonprofit that is organizing Contact 250, which is this huge contact experiment, which is a follow-on from when we did Contact 100, where we had 100 people making contact for 2 weekends straight. So it was so successful. Altair's like, we have to do this again, and we have to do it in Japan too. So in the spring, we're going to do it in Japan, and it's going to be Japanese. So you guys are wanting to come to this one. And this is just an opportunity to explore what we know about the power of 8. Now, the power of 8 is not woo-woo, it's science. And Lynn McTaggart discovered that when you get 8 people together, you can create actual miracles and miraculous things happening. And usually Lynn McTaggart does it with healing, where they'll take 8 people with shared intention, and one person in the group, they'll actually heal them. And they do crazy things like heal cancer and all this crazy stuff. And her experiment is now spreading around the world. And we want to use this intention, this group intention, and this open-hearted love to move ourselves into a galactic renaissance, because we believe that the galactic renaissance is going to be literally that, where the everyday person is going to have bigger access to new healing devices, educational things. It's just like it's an explosion of your mind and your ideas, and it's going to be an exciting time. And we also believe that citizens like you guys are the natural leaders and ambassadors to this renaissance. So we're counting on all of us around the world. 1 in 10 people have seen a UFO. So it's not that this isn't happening. It's that the leadership, like us, really need to step in. We need to show people that this is a safe and fun experience, and it enriches your life in so many ways. And we're going to talk about why it's so powerful, why synchronicities increase in your life, why your vibration goes up, why you start living in a better version of your life. And it comes from really, and Altair is great at clearing your body so that you can feel and you can intend more easily. And you can apply it to calling in a craft, or you can apply it to getting the job or the boyfriend or the this or the that or the whatever, right? It's about really raising your frequency, and it's about being aware of the tools that we have, the ancient tools of your body, and also accessing ourselves as a community, coming together as a community. What is possible when we come together? So I want to introduce Altair, and I also want to share a poll here with everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that right now, just to get a feeling from you guys as to, have you made contact yet? Or, not yet. It's okay if you're a total beginner, right? It's okay if you have lots of experience. We are kind of an interesting community in that we've got these heavy hitter, massive experts alongside of total beginners. And that synergy of sharing our knowledge together is really key, because you might be a beginner and then all of a sudden you have contact and you're the one sharing your knowledge with all of us and the experts and whatever. And we also realize that we want to empower all of you to see crafts and be able to teach your friends how to see crafts. Okay, this is not the mystery school where we hide everything. This is empowering the world. And the more people know how to do this, the better. So I want to introduce Altair, and then we're going to do a whole Q&A where you guys just raise your hand. It's in the reactions button. So if you already have a question, you can already raise your hand. And we do that in the reaction button At the very bottom, you'll see it. There's a little smiley face. You can raise your hand. Great. We already have Christine. I love it. And I wanted to tell you again, if you want a physical experience, which we're really, really key on at LightNet, you want to go to lightnet.org/webinar, and you want to sign up for the webinar where he walks you through clearing your physical body, your emotional body, and your light body. And that's going to help you get into the mode of contact. So Altair, thanks for being here. You know, I always tell people that you are the consummate ambassador for this, because you're so loving, so high vibration. I mean, I always say I would pass a mic to you. You know, some people are in drama, some people are in soap operas, some people, I don't know, you know, duality. You are in a pure state of love. And you also have a fascinating brain that manifests things through waking theta, which is Altair's brain is on permanent Schumann resonance. And scientists from all over the world study his brain because it's so interesting. And he's here to share his brain with you. He's here to share his love with you and all of his knowledge that he's collected all over the world, from Hopi, from India, from ashrams, from Tibet, from Japan, mystical Christianity, all these things. So thank you so much, Altair. Why don't you tell people a little bit about Contact 250 before we dive into the Q&A?
Zenka, thank you, and love and blessings to everybody. And might I say, you are actually sitting right on the seat of your wisdom. So all I'm ever going to really do is point back to the power that you bring as a human being and as a galactic being, and that everybody sitting here and listening is actually tuning into that right now. And Contact 250, one of the benefits of this is that you're going to find a whole series of shifts happen on a physical level, on an energetic level, and in terms of your light body and your connection with other realms. And that can include, obviously, extraterrestrials and star nations, but also beings and connections in pure realms of all in all dimensions. So you may experience really directly, and just as Zenka said, the key is in the direct experience. You may experience things that your heart has wished for years and years, and here you'll be in a situation with a group, a large group, to actually experience that directly. I'm going to hand over to I'm very fortunate, I'm very blessed. I've had the blessings of many ancient traditions all the way from age zero, from the Carmelite traditions to the Tibetan Buddhist traditions, to the Vedic traditions, to the Taoist traditions, to the Jewish Kabbalistic traditions, though the mystical Jewish traditions, right through to the mystical sides of Christianity that are often not spoken about. And all of you, of course, have access to that. You have access through past lives, through present lives, through future lives and future selves. So there is also that benefit that a lot of people who have come over the years to the courses that I've run, particularly the ones that I've done with Zenka, experience all manners of shifts. Just as Zenka said, you can apply these same practices to improving your health, to helping access greater financial abundance, to connecting with relationships that you've always wished for, to finding a deeper life purpose. And I always actually begin, even Q&A sessions, I do want to begin just by guiding you for just a few minutes into this together, because I think we all have collective questions, such as, who am I? Why am I here? And how am I to love? And so I'm going to get you to just consider that for a moment with me for a few minutes. If you close your eyes for a minute and just begin to feel, first of all, into the ground of your human body, because you're a combination of a variety of bodies: human bodies, astral bodies, causal bodies, star bodies, wisdom bodies, light bodies. All of those bodies are actually within you, and they're speaking to you right now. And the wisdom that you access is, of course, your own wisdom. So I want you to feel down into your feet for just a few minutes. Actually push your feet against the ground so that you can feel that physical connection with Mother Earth. And just consider for a moment with deep gratitude the incredible gifts that Mother Earth is giving us, and how much we need to be here for her at this time when a lot of our planet is doing things that are against Mother Earth's wishes. So we want to bring our attention to our body's natural earthiness and to the connection with our feet. And particularly to our connection with Earth, with Pachamama, with the Mother Earth, Father Sky, or however you relate to this in your tradition. So I'm from both Maori, Hawaiian, and also Jamaican traditions, so running through my blood. So I'm just passing you all the blessings of all the elders in many traditions. Just be in your physical body first and foremost. Just notice for a moment if there's any tension in your body. And just invite a few slow, deep breaths into wherever tension is held. And with every exhale, create a long release, a long exhale. Letting go of any tension, literally surrendering any tension. You don't need to get rid of tension, just simply be aware of it, where you're holding it, and allow it to move just by bringing the breath to it. So second one, just inhale. This is such a simple exercise. You can do it anytime. Being aware of physical tension in your body, inhaling. You can even say to yourself, calm on the in-breath. And as you exhale, peace. So just feeling into that, noticing if there's any tension. Just pause where you find any tension. If you've got tension in your chest, for example, or throat, you just pause there. Bring a gentle inhalation and then an exhalation. Long exhalation, breathing calm into the tension. And on the long exhalation, releasing with peace. And then just for a few moments, the astral body or the emotional body or subtle energy body. So here you're starting to open up. Really start with your heart area and open up to the power of your ability to travel astrally. The fact that you're not confined to just the physical body, but you also have the subtle energy body or astral body. So open your ears and nose and eyes and mouth and heart and mind. And just notice what feelings are present. And you may even get glimpses of the astral realms, beautiful realms, beautiful dimensions that start to open. You might even begin to feel into contact with other beings, extraterrestrial beings, bodhisattvas, angels, dragons. Whatever your connection is, you might feel into that. And equally, you might find that different emotions arise. Maybe you've always felt alone when you've done these kinds of practices. Well, now you're not alone because we're all here with you, holding you. So feel into any sadness, loneliness, perhaps any anxiety you've got about this. Feel into that and allow yourself, like a mother or a father, allow yourself to hold whatever emotion is present with some kindness, just like a mom or a dad or a friend. Just befriend your emotion and allow it to untangle and to reveal the inner dimensions, the astral dimensions, the star connections, the connections with bodhisattvas or angels or mystical beings, creatures, other realms. And then for the last few minutes, we'll connect with your causal body or your wisdom body. So let your attention move up to your eyes. Raise your gaze just slightly. Widen your field of vision. Keep your gaze very, very soft. Relax completely. Send out a message, a connection to your home planet, your star nation. If you're from the Pleiades or Turin or Lyran, send out a connection now. Let them know your location here on Earth, where you are. Send a picture of what Earth looks like in the solar system. And then relax completely and let your mind expand outwards infinitely. Be effortless and allow yourself to expand your mind and heart out into the solar system, out beyond our star and planets, out into the cosmos. Nurture your relationship with the cosmos itself. Be in this light body. Allow yourself to travel freely and dissolve. And finally, just relax all effort. Just melt into space itself. Stop trying to do anything at all. and allow the wisdom of the cosmos itself now to return your message. You might find suddenly voices or vibrations or energy or light appears in your mind or heart or body. It's different for every person. We perceive in different ways. Let all separation between yourself, this world, and all worlds dissolve, and dwell in the great oneness of love that flows throughout the universe. It is beyond all words and beyond all thoughts for these last few minutes. And then slowly, very, very slowly, remaining as still and as vast in this galactic field, in this extraordinarily vast and limitless field of existence. Slowly open your eyes like a child of the cosmos, as a galactic being, a galactic shaman, as a light being. Just rest with your eyes open and bring that vast and limitless awareness into the now, into the present. Feel into the richness and the beauty of every single moment, including this moment, as being an opportunity to connect with your cosmic family, with your galactic family, that at all times you're supported and loved by those connections that you've made, maybe in other realms, on other star systems, in other lives, that you're present to all of that. So thank you truly for your divine and galactic presence, for the incredible power of your presence. And this is a Q&A. So I'm going to get you to do A first, which is answered just before we go to the people who've already got their hands raised. I'd like you to do two things. One, if you can write down any experience that you had from the one that we've just done that you think you'd like to share. And also, if you don't feel comfortable sharing, which is also absolutely fine, write it down. Just write down any experience that you had on a pad or a piece of notepaper or something beside you. When we objectify, when we actually share it in the physical, whether it's with ourselves or with another, it actually starts to generate this incredible power of this collective galactic family that's here. So please write down anything that you had, that you experienced. So some people do twisting helix-like energy, or thank you for the meditation, the coming together. So there's that kind of feeling. This is truly a coming together. So write down anything that you feel comfortable sharing. And then, just as I think Karen did so beautifully, said hello from, do say where you're from, and equally say where you're from in all the multiplicity of ways. So if you're from another realm, if you're from a galactic origin and you feel comfortable sharing it, if you're Pleiadian like me and you want to share that, please share that in the chat, because then you will also see other star families that will start to reveal themselves, even in the community that we've got right here. Connected to the blue light beings that I've met before. I felt contracting outward, each with you all. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, so I love what people are sharing.
Yeah, you know,
I felt lovely.
Yeah, in that moment, Altair, it was like in that silence, it was like this breath of the universe. And it was like this pregnant breath of possibilities. And this happens, you guys, when we feel safe. It's just like our research into spoon bending. Nobody's bending a spoon when they're pushing or nervous or anxiety or anything. And that's what is so calming about Altair. It's a safe environment for you to open up that listening, that like the openness to the unknown. you know, and to these beautiful, beautiful experiences. So it was so cool. I'm going to share right now, you guys, the responses to the poll here. And it's really cool because we have half of you guys have seen UFOs and half of you haven't. And that's what I was just talking about, how cool it is that we come together with experts and people that are curious to do it together. It's a lot easier to do it when you have anchors of people who've done it before, standing right there, loving you through the experience. And we have 63% have had ET dreams and have felt them telepathically or in other meditations or other contexts. And then we have 60% of you guys are new to LightNet. So I just want to welcome you to our nonprofit and to our loving community. And I'm like excited to have you here. And I love this one. The very last question was, do you think we're entering the age of physical contact with ETs? And we got 100% yes. So you guys feel it. Altair and I feel it. That's why it was like, okay, we're doing this. We do this once a year, and next year is going to be Contact 1000. So this is, you guys are right at this moment, and Sedona is such a magical place. And where Altair is going to be to do this, and it's just going to be amazing. We're going to be all over the world on Zoom, and I want to tell you a little bit about how it's going to work. The first night on the 21st, Altair is going to take you through your entire astrological chart, and you're going to find out what star beings and what nations were present at your birth. This is going to give you a clue. You're going to get some of the tools to use, the phone apps and all the technology we're going to be using. And then Friday and Saturday night, we meet for 4 hours, and the first 3 hours are deep practices. These are ancient techniques that Altair is willing to share with us. And then the final hour, we're going to go out and look in the stars. And we're going to do this for 4 nights straight. So 2 nights the first weekend, 2 nights the next weekend. You guys are going to have a chat where you're going to be able to chat and share your experiences and make new friends and feel held and get excited. So you're going to walk away with 11 practices and experiences that are going to really fuel your life. So Christine, we're ready for you. I'm bringing you down for your question. And once again, if you're just joining us, you can go ahead and raise your hand using the reactions button at the very bottom, and we'll get to your questions. So welcome. Thanks for being here. You can go ahead and unmute yourself, Christine, and go ahead and ask your question. And you can ask anything. What is it like to see a massive craft? What techniques do you use to call in crafts? What does it feel like in your body? What is the thing that prevents most people from seeing craft or feeling ETs? And anything you want to ask Altair, he's available. Go ahead, Christine.
Thank you. Thank you, Zenka. I love your energy, and I feel so blessed to be here. And Altair, so good to see you. Yeah, I will briefly preface my question with this experience that I had a few weeks ago. It was July 16th. So it was a 777. And I realized all this a lot. I've had to integrate, and it's come in later, but I brought my dog out to pee for the last pee of the night. And I looked up at the sky and saw some very bizarre things that looked like unusual phenomena. And I thought I better get my glasses, because I didn't have my glasses on. I ran in, got my glasses, came back out, and it was gone, what I was seeing. And then I looked up over my head, and there was like a huge, I want to call it like a rectangle. So my question is, because I'm still not sure what I saw, whether it was a portal or a ship. It was absolutely beautiful. And as I had the thought, I really want to be able to see into this, whatever this is, I sort of went up in it, and it was all these, it looked like pulsing stars in a plasma-like fluid. And I could see through stars to stars behind it. And it, and I was so, I couldn't even comprehend what I was seeing. And I get a lot of light beings on my phone on video sometimes. So I thought, well, let me go get my phone. And which I did, and I came back out and it was gone. So I, thanked them for coming and just said, please come back. But my question is, does anyone have any idea, what I saw? My friend Karin, who Altair knows, did a little channeling while I was visiting her in Sweden. And she said, as she got that they were Andromedans and they were my galactic star family. And so I know very little about this. I'm just starting to research a little, even what that means. But so that's yeah, the whole thing there.
Beautiful. And Christine, it is so lovely to see you. So I'm also Zenka, I was going to say, when I know the recording is going to be available, also make the chat available for everybody, because there's just such a richness in the chat. I don't want to lose the beauty of the sharing that everybody's doing. And can I encourage you, this is a very collective sharing. We're starting to open to the cosmic mind. So at any point that we're sharing like this, that I'm doing with Christine, you might find things that will come through, information messages. Write them down, share them in chat, because you'll often find that other people in the chat are actually starting to share exactly the same thing because they're receiving the same transmissions. Yeah, so in terms of, Christine, in terms of what you saw, when you mentioned unusual phenomena right at that moment, so usually my field is very open, and right at that moment in the far right corner of my room, a beautiful portal opened. So that was an Andromedan stargate that you saw. Karen's right. She is turning into your origins and your Andromedan connections. Now, the stargate is that portal that opens to pulsing stars in that plasma-like fluid. I've had exactly the same thing open, not just in the sky, but in my bedroom. My wife and my daughter have seen these, so that it's not just me alone that's seeing the, so those are portals rather than ships. And they're, to see that is phenomenal. I've got to really honor the incredible being that you are, Christine, which we know, and all your group that I know in Sweden is also well aware of your incredible potential. So especially when we start off doing these practices, we'll get openings like this. So particularly if any of you have been present to stargates or portals opening, please write them down, please share, because that will be useful for Christine. So in my case, the way that they open is, I'll give you an example of the one that opened in the bedroom. So I was lying in bed, and it was like a flower of life portal, and it opened to exactly the same kind of effect. And that is that it seems like you're actually seeing straight into the universe itself, and you see those pulsing stars. It's like you've spoken about plasma, and plasma is certainly one of the currents that many of us in these human bodies, as we start to open to the subtle energy fields, are opening to the plasma currents that we're automatically already aware of, particularly those of us that are tuning in on into the galactic field regularly. So when and this has happened many times, but I'm just giving an example of where there was more than one person present and we could see it, is that my wife and my daughter and I were actually able to see with open eyes this portal open in the ceiling. And that portal had that same flow, had that same plasma-like feel. It was very, very powerful. It felt like it was going to draw us up into that portal. It was particularly a Pleiadian field. So for us, because that tends to be the portal or gate that opens for me initially. And you've got that ability, Christine. So the other thing is just recognize the power of you being able to reconnect to that, I'd advise you actually drawing it. Drawing's very helpful. That's how I get my 8-year-old's very good at manifesting fields, gates, and craft by simply drawing them. So draw what you, and this goes for everybody that's here, draw what you saw, actually put it beside your bed, draw it, color it in as fine a detail as you can. You don't have to be a good drawer, you just got to have a go at it. And then put it beside your bed, have a look at it last thing before you go to sleep. As you go to sleep, simply repeat to yourself, I will remember the Stargate or the portal or the craft. I'll remember the craft, or I'll remember this, in this case, the Andromedan portal. And go to sleep on that and just note it and pray. Don't give up if you suddenly don't have something the first night. Try it for a minimum of 7 nights, exactly the same thing. What you'll do is you'll groove into your galactic brain. So Zenka was talking to me in the beginning about the alpha brain and theta brain. So you'll actually groove into this galactic brain that we all have, the ability for you to access those portals in your dream state. Because in your dream state, you're often going to reach deep stages of REM sleep, as well as deep delta states and potentially deep theta states, which actually do open the access to that. So that's what you were present to, Christine, and it also speaks to your own, Star Nation connections, that you've naturally got that arising in your field, and that you're able to access that. So you want to cultivate that. And the drawing is an easy way to cultivate it, because of course it's very visual and symbolic rather than conceptual. And the dreams are also an easy way to access it, because they're also very non-conceptual, because you're actually simply making an intention or a suggestion every night. And it's the same with when you go out there under the stars. Zenka mentioned we're going to do, 2 nights, but actually I encourage people over the course of Contact 250, because it's such a rich and such an empowering experience to do it every single night, so that you build up this galactic field. Because in fact, that's what you're doing. You're actually becoming a portal yourself. And my daughter, I think I've got it here. She drew, she actually drew, funnily enough, I'll see if I can. Can you sort of see that? There we go. Can you see that? This is her. Hang on a second. I'll take off my star background for a moment, because I just think it's kind of very beautiful. There you go. That. You see that? That's exactly what my daughter saw. So she actually drew a picture of it, and she said when she went through the gate, it opened up into these different places that she was able to access. One of them was this, but potentially that's what I want you to do. So that was not her drawing of it before. Actually, this was her drawing after. So I'm just very aware of the power of a childlike mind. Zenka mentioned that if you're a beginner, well, I can say I'm a beginner. I have a beginner's mind. It's very fresh. I access all these connections through a very childlike way, that we have a freshness and a beauty and a curiosity and an openness to everything. And we bring that childlike love and devotion to the Star Nations, and they're no different than our own family. And then they will answer you, just as they've done Christine. So Christine, I hope that was helpful and reflective and touches the point. And when you said those very unusual phenomena, when you said that, and I got an opening in the field right here, right as you were speaking, that was a real testament to the power of not only what you'd shared, but what Karen had shared with you as well. So I just thought that if that's helpful, and if that's
very helpful, very
wonderful.
Exciting. I feel so excited for us all, and the drawing's inspiring, because, and also a comfort, because I've intimidated to try to draw whatever, but I see that simple drawing and I think I can do that.
Yes,
so
definitely. So
magical.
Thank you.
Zenka, I'll let you do all the back and forth. You can,
okay,
and also
perfect.
some of the reflection too.
We're going to bring Atria on next, but I just wanted to say that, I'm the tech geek in this all. We're going to be talking about a lot of tech tools and stuff, but one of the things we know from how, science is becoming very subtle measurements. So we know that when alpha is present in your head at the top from Dr. Hart's research is you can actually see angels, right? And we also are learning more and more about plasma. And I put in the chat, the Keshe Foundation is putting 400 types of plasma in their teleportation devices. So this is, you guys are becoming the pioneers of understanding how this dimensional reality works. And we're beginning to be able to open to these things and start to observe them, and maybe, all these other interactions. So I just want to commend you for your curiosity, because we've also realized that curiosity and joy, when they collide, provides you guys experiences. And so that's really beautiful that you've had that, and it's so great. And I loved how you said, my brain could barely understand. It was so beautiful and so intricate. And we're studying over 11,000 contact experiences that we've documented. And these are some of the things. It's just like, at first, it's like, you can't even, it's just so amazing that your brain can't even really understand it. Okay, Atria, good to have you. What's your question here? You can, okay. Good.
And not to step on you, Altair, I'm Atira.
Okay, Atira, thank you.
Thank you. Well, there were several things. One is I'm in Tucson, Arizona, which is almost, if not more active than Sedona. And but there were several things. One is that at Burning Man last year, 2022, just before the event started, I sat at my tent, looked up, and there were 1, 2, 3 ships, lights, and all of a sudden the top one went so I knew they were UFOs. And then there was another one that came along behind those 3, and it kind of went and it went that way. So definitely they're taking care of making sure they come to Burning Man. My last experience was this Christmas time, sitting in my hot tub, and overhead at least a dozen came over as lights. Now, when I was in Sedona the last time with a guide, he said that those lights are not satellites, that they are UFOs. And that was my first question is, can I, and I've been telling people that those are not satellites, those are UFOs going overhead. And at that particular night, there was 10, and they were coming in all directions. They weren't in a line. They were like north, south, east, west, no particular direction. 2 years ago, here I had a session at my house. I use Mark Sims's signal that he's given all of us. I use that to call in. I do the hewing, and we brought in, and one of the women brought the Palladians in to try and heal me. My second question, third question, whatever. My next question is, I would love to know where I'm from. And I don't know if it was the Palladians who came and did some healing work. I have bone cancer. I certainly want to keep my connection going, because I want to access healing through my helpers up there. So yeah, so I guess those are the 2 questions. And then it's been quiet in since last December. And I'm wondering, is that anyone's experience that it's been quiet recently, or not for you? So sorry, Altair, I hope that wasn't too confusing.
No, so if I can clarify, I'm guessing the first question is about the satellites versus the ships. The second question is about where are you from, and the third question is about whether it's quiet for people or not. And can I just ask, when you sense into where you are from, tell me a little bit about what you sense. Just what are the feelings you have? If you were to describe the qualities about, if you were to have a sense of missing home, which I think somebody else mentioned.
Of missing home. Well, in your meditation, I just felt myself reaching out and reaching out and reaching out, kind of like, are you my home? Are you my home? Are you my home? It's just like this searching and wanting So it's I don't know if it's an anxiousness or just I go out on my back deck or porch and I say, I'm here. I send love, I send the desire for connection. Come connect with me. And so there's kind of like not an anxiousness isn't the word I want, but longing. I think that's the word I want. I have this longing.
And in terms of that longing quality, and again, this is going to speak to many, many people here.
Mhm.
In terms of that longing quality, is it a longing for example, for love, or a longing for support, or a longing for more compassion, or a longing for wisdom, or a longing for more security in your life, or from that source? Or share with me a little bit what that feels
I think
like.
it's a longing for belonging. I've always been on the edge of society all my life. I'm a daughter of a Holocaust survivor, and that certainly has colored my life. And I've always been active for peace or for whatever, but it almost feels like, do I really belong here? Where is where can I feel whole at home? And yeah, I think that's what it is.
And one other question I want to ask, and this goes for everybody, which of our ancient, if you go just purely for Earth connections, which of the ancient civilizations do you feel connected to? Like if you go right through Lemuria, Atlantis, Egypt, Tibet, Taoist Chinese societies, back into the Mesopotamian Babylon. So if you're all asking those questions, and I'd like you to answer in the chat, but particularly for Atira, our desert rose, what do you feel?
Wow, that's very hard because I would call myself a Jewish atheist. And so I don't know where that puts me. I keep exploring because I'm not sure what I really connect with.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you've spoken about it. So many of you out here are not going to come from one distinct origin, and something that's going to come across really obviously for somebody like you, Tira, and many of you that are listening, you're going to feel like, oh, I feel strongly attracted to, for example, the Vegan and Lyran missions, or I feel strongly attracted to Akerna or to the Draco, for example, which is of the dragon origin. So those of you that feel connected to dragon origins might feel more connected to the Aran Nebula, which is known as the heart of the Dragon Nebula, or to, for example, the stars in the Hydron system, which is a Serpent system. Now, for somebody like you, Atira, where every time you started to speak, I never, it didn't land on one particular system, one particular star system. And I think that's why you're kind of searching, is that you're a very universal soul. You incorporate aspects of, now naturally, because the Pleiadians have come to heal you in some of your, in some of the healing practices that you've done. So Pleiadian origin is one, a Syrian origin is another, a Vegan origin is another. So you've got these multiplicity of star origins, and that's part of the reason you're finding it difficult to feel like you know where home is, because you're actually such a beautifully universal being. I mean, the desert rose is a very rare and very precious rose indeed. So you're of that ilk. So some people relate very strongly with just one, and some people relate with because they're receiving multiple messages. So my suggestion to you, and certainly for those of you that come from a variety of these connections. So when you mentioned you said, what was the word? Atheist? I don't want to misquote you.
No, Jewish atheist.
Jewish. Yeah. When you said Jewish atheist, I instantly connected to Vega. When you connected with I don't know where home is, I got Sirius. And when you connected already with the Pleiadian energies, so those three systems were very, very strongly flowing through your being. And what I would do, so this is what I advise to everybody. I advise everyone to make a physical connection with the star systems that they feel connected to, and actually go and sit under the stars and ask exactly the type of question that you have, Altair, and that is, where is home? And you might find all of it is home, but particularly that longing. I think you asked the question, are you my home? What I'd do is I'd go and make sure you know the physical location of Pleiades, make sure you know the physical location of Sirius. I'd also look at Altair, because there's a strong, I don't know if you were aware just recently, but a group of Japanese astronomers about 40 years ago sent a message out to Altair, and they, because of the distance from Earth, it would take 40 years to receive that message back, which actually happened just this week. And so I would connect with those four systems because they give you a really good grounding, and knowing where the Pleiadians are, knowing where the Sirians are, knowing where Altair is, and knowing where the Vega system is. Actually, Vega and Altair are close, so you'll kind of incorporate them both in one. And so I want you to actually start to develop a physical, because that will help you ground in your body. It'll help you to feel that sense of sustenance and support you're wanting for your own healing, and actually go out there and spend time. It's just and my suggestion, do you play music? Do you sing?
I can sing, yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite song?
Dear brother, dear sister.
There you go. It's beautiful, beautiful. So what I would suggest you do, the vibration of home that you're actually attuned to is actually aligned with that piece of music. And when you go out under the stars, start to notice what key are you singing in, because that actually has a particular frequency and a vibration that is actually helping you to connect to those galactic origins. So actually sing. Go, you obviously want to be somewhere where you're not going to disturb your neighbors. My daughter does this. She goes out and sings to the stars, and we get the most incredible movements in craft or even right now. Actually, even right now, they're listening because they recognize that the desert rose has a particular scent and a particular frequency that she already knows as home. And if you start to go out and move in the physical environment with that frequency and start to let them know, then you'll get a response. The most uncanny thing happened to actually it freaked her out entirely, if I'm a bit more honest about it. She went out and she sang this song, and it was over one of the post-contact evening. And will o' the wisp, for those of you that know will o' the wisps, they're like a bright, it'll be a perfectly dark forest, and a bright light, very, very bright, will arise and move through the forest, actually in front of your eyes. And that happened when she struck up a particular song and a melody. I was with her, but of course she doesn't want to, we're right next to it. We're on our house is in a lovely place on the edge of forest, so we often venture into the forest. But now she's dead scared of going into those forests because she doesn't want to meet the will o' the wisp that we saw, and it was really amazing. So be aware that when you start to work with these frequencies of home, and you start to actually genuinely ask that question, and you start to vibrate with the frequency of your own personal melody, that you will actually get other responses from the cosmos. So dismiss nothing. Animals, the reaction of animals to you. I'm sure if many of you have relationship with our animal families, please put them in the chat. What are the strong? So mine's the hummingbird, and also dolphin pods, and snakes. So they're always very, very kind to me. So really look at the response of your animal kingdom and the animal, because we're out near the wild, we've got lots of hawks and falcons and snakes and all sorts. So they do respond. So just be aware that as you start to tune into your personal frequencies, you're going to get lots of responses from other families, including animal families, star families, flower families, just actually really notice how your environment responds. So put down, if you've got particular connections with your animal, with the love of animals and particularly of nature, whether that's any part of nature, put it down. So I'm kind of like an ocean, air, hummingbird, dolphin being.
And I also want to mention something is that, I'm very interested in the science of all this stuff. And so is Ray Hernandez. So Ray Hernandez got a lot of people together, founded the Consciousness and Contact Research Institute. That got a bunch of PhD academics to interview hundreds of people from many, 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 many countries to ask them about their contact experiences. This was a very in-depth research study. And look at this. This is the one I always love it's mind-blowing, the research, but 50% of the UFO contact experiences reported a miraculous medical healing by UFO intelligence on either themselves or a member of their immediate family. This was how my family's initial contact experience began, with a miraculous medical healing of our paralyzed dog by an energy being that appeared in the living room, both to myself and my wife on March 1st. So medical healings, miraculous medical healings are possible. And it's not, woo-woo. This is science. This is, hundreds of people's experiences are reporting this. So there is a connection that you can create with the beyond, and that frequency is going to adjust your own frequency, your emotional body, your spiritual body, and you can request healing. And if you're ready for it, you'll get it. So it's really exciting that this can happen. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Zenka, if you continue with who comes next, just before we leave Altair, and Altair, thank you for that. But just I'd like you to note particularly, like I said, when you mentioned certain things that not finding home, Vega star beings themselves actually come from lots of different origin points in the universe, because Vega is a Lyran system. It's often related to lots of other star systems, and so that's what I think you're feeling, is that you come from Vegan origins, but you've also got these strong connections with other star systems, which is a very common report. Zenka's talking about data. We've done a lot of data on recording different ways that people experience their galactic origins. Vegan star beings often report exactly like you did, Altair. So just I'd like to just mention that in passing. So Zenka, back to you. And
yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So moving through these, I don't know how many more we're going to get to, but so the other thing is, you asked about, is it a satellite? Is it a, satellite launch, whatever. We're going to be showing you in Contact 250 how to use apps to determine, is this a satellite? Is this a UFO? Obviously, if it's stationary and then it's zipping away, that's a good indication that it's moving in a way that is not normal. So that's
exactly. Zenka, just adding to that, just before you go. And how long do we have? Is it another half hour?
Yeah, we could go another half an hour. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. With that knowing, I'll keep some of the answers briefer then. But I was just going to say, in terms of you noticing that, so my daughter and I were out the other night, just like you said, Altair, we had multi-directional satellites, and then we had one that moved in a waveform. It was clearly not a plane and not a satellite, and it was in relationship to a particular practice we did. For those of you that have been in Contact 100 before, I'm going to introduce lots of new practices in Contact 250, and for those of you that haven't done this before, I introduced a lot of the grounding practices we did in Contact 100 in the beginning of the weekend. So both groups are well catered for. Okay, Zenka, back
Cool,
to
cool, cool. Yeah. And that's, a lot of people do wonder what star systems they have lineage with, and you will figure that out in Contact 250. Maybe you'll figure it out. Maybe you know already, maybe you'll figure it out at the very first session where we look at the astrology. That's a really good time. We'll be giving all that cool information about your detective work as to your star family. So Louise, can you go ahead and unmute yourself and welcome? Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Actually, my question was similar about the same thing in terms of my origins, because I have sometimes telepathically communicated with ships that I know are here around me, protecting me. And I know that I've communicated with the Pleiadians, and I've been told I'm part of that. An aspect of my soul is Pleiadian, and I sometimes have seen the Draco part of myself, and I've actually channeled a book about a star child, and didn't know till last year when I was at a Lemurian conference that some of the words in the book were actually Lemurian words. So I kind of feel like I'm also a blend of different star families. So that was what I was going to ask, is just if there was anything in my energy that you could give me some clarity about that.
Yeah, sure, Louise, actually, the thing I picked up the most, some of us here will recognize what I'm about to say. So I'm going to speak to Louise, but I'm speaking to you as well, is that some of us have worked on ships. So the reason that Louise has such a telepathic connection with ships is she's actually worked on ships. So some of you will actually know what I mean by this. That means you can actually describe what it's like to be on a ship. And by working, I mean actually worked as a telepath on ships to actually navigate. So that kind of potential, that kind of ability, which you have, Louise, that's the first thing I picked up directly, is that you actually have that direct experience in ships to assist and guide ships, which is why they're communicating to you. So a lot of that comes actually from the Draco star system. So they are very directional beings, and they're actually, because of that strong connection with the origins of that of guidance, particularly a lot of Draco star beings have that. They're like the star Polaris. They're like guiding beings. So you've probably done that a lot in your life. You're channeling a book like that is that same sort of guidance. So you have a strong guiding aspect because you've done it, because you recognize what it's like to be in an actual ship and be directionally through mind and light, be actually able to direct a ship's course and know exactly where those coordinates that this ship needs to shift to are. But the experiences I've had both on ships but with ships directly coming here have been exactly of that nature. They're very telepathic. They've been, in my case, I'm very fortunate. They've always been witnessed by large groups of people, and so there has been a confirmation of the fact that when we know how to connect, that they do connect back. And for those of us who know how to do that, Louise, like you, we do it directly because we've done it before. You actually know how to move within the ships themselves. I'm curious, when you feel that telepathic connection, just for a moment, could you describe to us what that actually feels like in your body and what the kind of messages you receive are?
Well, I guess I feel it in my heart. I feel it, I feel like they're old friends, and I feel like they think I'm quite funny because I can't remember stuff down here. So they kind of laugh about that. Like I can't remember because of forgetting, coming onto the earth. There have been times where I've felt urgent messages from them that there's something to, like, they're protecting me. There's something here that is not of a good energy, and they're here to protect me. it just this always have had this very strong sense of like so strong, so visceral of being what you say on those ships. Like when I look at one of my tarot decks has Ashtar, like I feel like I could be there. Like I could just walk onto that and be in that world. So that's kind of, and I haven't communicated with him a while, to be honest, but there have been times where I feel him a lot, or I will be out walking and I can tell that the clouds are not clouds, they're ships, but they kind of look like clouds. But if you really look at them, it's very clear that there's ships in the sky.
Exactly. And you know, a typical, even though you're from a number of origins, the Draco energy itself is a very strong magnetism. It gives you a very powerful aura, which is very easy to see from here. So you've got quite a large field, and that particular ability you've got to work on ships. For those of you that do work on ships, or you've actually know exactly what I mean, please write that down in the chat. Please make yourself known, because it would be very useful for Louise to connect with any of you that do know that you do that and that you're conscious. Obviously, you can do it in sleep and dream time. You can also do it consciously in different types of meditation practice. You can do it out under the stars, but there are many of you here who will start to actually even feel into that, because that telepathic heart connection that Louise is speaking about, there's a knowing that is unmistakable and unshakable. So Louise, that's the primary thing I've picked up from you. I hope that's helpful in some way, shape, or form.
And the Draco, where are they from again?
So the Draco system is either side of the Draco system is so it's a Draco constellation. So either side of it is Ursa Minor and Lyra. So you're speaking straight to, so you can actually look up the Draco. As Zenka said, when we go into the I do galactic astrology with you and actually just show you the different parts of the sky. So the Draco system, particularly in beings who have incredibly powerful Draconis or Draco energy, they relate strongly to Lyrans, Vegans, and as I mentioned, Polaris, because they're guiding star beings. So they actually have strong auras and strong magnetism. They've often had quite a shadow part of themselves that's come up that they've had to deal with in their life. And then they become very, very focused on the light. And so as a result, they have an extremely strong and resilient aura. Yeah, so Draco is a star constellation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Altair. So I just wanted to ask people, who has experienced telepathy with another human or possibly an animal? So just go ahead and write, yes, I have, if you feel comfortable in the chat. So again, my job here as a scientist is to talk about the grounded science that we now have about telepathy. So, for example, the BioCybernet Institute knows that telepathy is occurring because they're doing research on it, and they can literally, in shared biofeedback, they're actually putting 10 electrodes on your head and 10 electrodes on someone else's head, that when those participants are in Delta, they're actually passing information back and forth without speaking. So telepathy is real. We've done telepathy classes with kids. I mean, that class blew my mind. It was wild. So these are some of the things you think, this sounds science fiction, this sounds weird, sounds whatever. No, it's very easy for a being, a star being, to get into the frequency to pass you information. And that's one of the things I hear over and over and over again. When contact happens, normally they're just sending you thoughts. It's very clear what thought is coming. There's no confusion about it. But this is what's so exciting. And we know that when your cities or your gifts are going to develop as you start to make more and more contact, because your frequency is going to go up and you're going to start realizing that maybe you have some of these qualities. And telepathy is really great because you become more sensitive to the people around you. Diane, are you ready? You're next, then Karen. We're just going to go in order that you raised your hand. So
yeah, and Zenka, just there's 7 people with hands raised. If we keep it to those 7, and we do roughly 5 minutes each, we'll be 10 after the hour. So I'll try and keep very sharp.
okay, yeah. So and keep your questions short too. We do have chances in Contact 250 where you can share your story. In fact, we're documenting all your stories. So if you have an incredible contact story that you want to share with the others in the group, or even beyond that, we want you to share that. And it's so exciting to be able to do that. It's one of the most exciting things to talk about. We're not shoving everything under the rug. We're like, no, tell us more. So we're going to have lots of chances for you to do that. So yeah. Okay, so what is your question, Diane? Thanks for being here.
So, and thank you. I've been driving, so I apologize if I ask anything that has been. I think you're focusing more on UFOs. I've had numerous experiences with dolphins, and I've wondered at times, where did they actually come from? Are they from another galaxy? Because they've been one of the most remarkable beings that I've encountered on this planet, often above humans. And are ghosts ever considered UFOs or even angels?
I'm going to jump in here real quick while Altair's unmuting to just share something about dolphins. So dolphins, if you were to map human intelligence, which we have, dolphins, and you were to put humans at a 1 and other animals are lower, dolphins are at a 1.8. They have almost double the intelligence of humans. And they're the only animal that we've mapped that is that high over. Now, I tend to believe that all animals are just as wise as anything in the universe. Like, I don't like to see the hierarchy because we don't really know a lot about animals, but their brain and the folds that they have are researched as being that much more intelligent. So your instincts are right about that. So, but Altair is very connected to dolphins. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
Yeah.
Would you group orcas in with that also? Orca whales?
Sure. So let me talk about whales, dolphins generally. So many of you who are from Lemuria, who are here listening. So if you're from Lemuria and you recognize that and you know, so Mu itself was a continent, Lemuria itself is what many of us relate to. Lemuria was one of the seeding grounds for a lot of the connections that you're making with dolphins. So many of you have swum with dolphins, swum with whales, swum with you already know that. Those of you that are here, if you're horrified by any of the experiences that our beautiful dolphin and whale families have with human beings, you'll know that because you've been that being. You've either been a dolphin or whale. So if you can remember that, like I can. So I've had direct experiences with dolphin in the wild where they've swum with me, spoken to me, accompanied me on journeys. It's been really very, very incredible. Now, the dolphins, many of the dolphins come, like us, coming from different planetary systems, come from the Sirian system. So Sirius, is, as you know, is a binary star system, but it has a number of other aspects, Sirius Alpha, Beta, and so on, right through to many of the different systems that are found in Sirius actually contain a supply of what we'd call water. And some years ago, when I was working with Denise Lynn, in the days when you could sit with Caroline Mace or Eckhart Tolle or Denise Lynn or any of these wonderfully luminary beings and share about dolphins and Lemuria and other planets, we all had exactly the same connection. We were Lemurian born, which many of you are. We were Sirius born, which many of you are. You can remember the dolphin exists. You also remember what it's like to be in light dolphin form. So those of you that are picking up, like Diane is, the fact that dolphins or dreams of dolphins or connections with dolphins seem to be very important for you are because you've existed in a dolphin form and a light dolphin form, which is almost like a human mer connection or a. So many of you. So my daughter gives a classic answer to people who don't believe in mermaids. She said to my wife said when she was watching The Little Mermaid said, but you know, darling, mermaids aren't real. And my daughter looked at her with that very classic 8-year-old eye and said, yes, Mama, that's right. They don't exist on the far side of Pluto, the dark side. And my wife said, oh, what do you mean? I haven't seen the dark side of Pluto. And my daughter said, exactly. So you can't say there are no mer people on the dark side of Pluto. That was my 8-year-old logic. You know, we are so adamant that this doesn't exist and this does and only this and that. And of course, we're speaking from this very limited human physical experience for many of us. That is the only reality we accept. But if we're as open enough to consider that there are many parts in the billions and billions of stars and star systems that we know nothing about, and that they may appear in forms that we even are not yet able to recognize or are just now recognizing and beginning to communicate with, and then you'll feel into an 8-year-old's logic that don't dismiss anything just because you can't see it, because your actual, even if you go to your peripheral vision and hold your hands here and then move them, you'll find they disappear at a very short distance. So that'll speak to the power of what you can see and what's real. And of course, we know in quantum physics the energy and consciousness. So when you're starting to talk about whales and dolphins, you're talking about very specific planetary systems, and also the fact that there are many planetary systems within some of those binary systems like Sirius that actually do have incredible connections with ancient Egypt, with dolphins, with whales, and with the fact that the watery substance. So those of you speaking to elements, those of you that right now are starting to feel very watery in your being when I'm talking about water planets and dolphins and light beings and connections with whales, you're feeling into exactly that you're perhaps the primary element in your being is water, and water in a very many of you who are telepathic, that's because you're primarily elementally water, and that you connect to some of those lives and civilizations such as Sirius that have strong connections with our dolphin kin. And our dolphins for me are my family, so they're definitely not separate from us. They are very, very wise, and they can communicate. The times I've been able to communicate with dolphins in the wild, when I've swam with them and they've helped me and allowed me to swim and hold on to them, and so this is in the wild, able to call them, able to speak. So, and they've said exactly the same things. We're from these systems. So exactly what you're saying, Diane, is just a perfect insight into that. So thank you for raising that. Okay.
Thank you.
Zenka. No, I hope that answers it. Thank you so much. It's a real blessing. Any of you that are dolphin children or that are dolphin inspired or have dolphin-like being memories, you're speaking right to the heart, my heart. Zenka, back to you.
Great. We have Karen, and then we have Michael, a great human that's coming up next. And yeah, so on our YouTube channel on LightNet, we have a lot of videos about Altair, and one of them's where he talks about where he called a whole pod of dolphins to the shore, just like he does the ships, and it's so fascinating. Anyway, Karen, go ahead. What's your question here?
Hi, thanks so much for both of you being here today and doing this. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I had two questions, but I'm just going to do one because of time and wanting other people to be able to get theirs in. It's interesting. I can't see me. Maybe. Oh, there I am. But the question I live on Mount Shasta for 7 years now, and I've had a fair amount of I have a wide open backyard and a fair amount of UFOs and some contact, but this is an interesting phenomena that I've had occur a few times. I wondered if you could speak to it. Is off to the west behind, away from Mount Shasta, Venus will set at certain times of the year, towards the time where I'm out star and UFO watching. And the planet itself 3 times now, once with somebody else witnessing it, will go, it'll be setting at some point, but it like literally moves. Like all the way down to the tree line slowly, not super fast, but not like, super slow either. Like in the process of 3 to 5 minutes, moves all the way down to the tree line and all the way back up. And it's also happened to a star or planet it's probably a star that's in the front view as well, but I don't know what star that is. And I was just wondering what that might be, or if anybody else has experienced that.
Beautiful. Oh, you're speaking to one of my favorite subjects, and that is the movement of Venus, or the movement of planets. So just a couple of things here. You mentioned about Venus rising in the west. Right, appearing in the west. Now, the west is, and it was just curious that you said that when you came on, Karen, you couldn't find yourself. That's because you're very transparent. You're quite an open, transparent being. Like there's a lot of dissolution in your energy, and in fact, west, as Black Elk says, is the direction that is the end of things. So first of all, is that it's often a dissolution energy. So if you're looking towards the west, or if you're attracted to the west, and I'm curious what directions you are attracted to, because that speaks straight to our indigenous wisdom. So that's first. Look, the direction itself is about dissolution. So there's often a lot of what you'd say quite transparency in the energies of the west direction. So that's the first thing. The other thing with Venus is I'm lucky. I've got a very potent Venus in my chart, so it tends to see it's exactly conjunct my moon. So I get lots of, anybody who mentions Venus is speaking to one of my passions. So in Japan, the millions of years ago, according to Japanese tradition, the great Lord Sanat Kumara came through and from Venus, so actually came from that connection, and brought some of the original wisdom to Earth, and particularly in this case, because the way the Japanese mention it, bring that particular wisdom. So wisdom is noted by many ancient traditions, including the ancient Japanese, as being a source of great wisdom. And I'm talking the dissolution wisdom, is that it goes beyond concept. So what you see when Venus moves is an actual energy. And Zenka, you might just need to mute who just in it, because I don't want to be tapping in on people's private conversations. Not you, whoever has got their microphone on. So Venus itself, Venus itself. Yeah, that's right. Not me, just anybody else's mic that is not speaking at the moment. Venus also, when the star beings that came from the Pleiades that gave all the guidance that I share with you on Contact 100, and also the guidance I give in Contact 250, they spoke about the power of 2 planets in our solar system as being transmitting stations. And one of them is Venus, which of course is the home of love. So Karen, it's that particular power that you're attuning to, is you're actually seeing the physical movement of the field of Venus. And not many people are aware of it, but I'm going to describe it like this. And I love the data and the science like Zenka does. The European Space Agency and NASA have actually recorded torus field energies around planets. So these are actually two certain measuring instruments. They're aware of that flow of energy, plasma, all of the dark matter energy, which our instruments do not measure at the moment. But they were able to measure with some degree of sophistication the torus field energies that existed around Jupiter, for example, and around Venus. And Venus itself is considered by the star civilization, by the star nations, by other beings from other planets, is considered a particularly potent transmitting station for love. one of the things that, Karen, you're picking up, because you're a Venus being, you're a Venusian at heart, really, is that you're actually picking up that energy field signature of Venus. So that's a special tribute to the power of your own consciousness. And one of the things I would recommend that you do is, and this goes for everybody here, is that you actually visualize a field of energy flowing up your spine and out to Venus and coming back in and coming out and coming back in, so that you start to receive some of those transmissions of the energy field that you're connecting. So that's that. Plus, I'd strongly advise you do that from about September the 4th, when Venus, which has been in retrograde motion, so that is when it seemingly seems to be spinning in or in a backwards motion, partly because of the elliptical orbits of our planets. It goes direct on September the 4th. So I'd particularly, for Karen especially, who's a Venusian, and for those of you who relate, and if you do relate to Venus and the energies of love, personal love, sensual love, but also the connections of love collectively for a human family, do write that in the chat if you feel the power of Venus, because it's a very powerful assistant to raising consciousness to connect with the star beings, with your home planet, just as we've been speaking about. So one of the pieces of advice that the star civilizations gave us when we were doing this about 30 years ago and teaching this in different countries, is that the Venus power is the most important power to cultivate first. That you cultivate the love, you cultivate that heart connection, and then when you do connect, you're going to be connecting from that frequency. So that's hopefully that's helped Karen. I know that frequency. It's speaking. It's a tribute to your own star consciousness, that you're actually a Venusian being. Potentially, you have a connection with Sanat Kumara and with some of those very ancient indigenous traditions that actually revere Venus as being both a transmitter and a receiver to the star nations or star civilizations themselves. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, I've known I'm here since a child for love and to learn more about love, but mostly to spread it. But the other thing is I have no training on connecting, but being in Mount Shasta, it's so easy. But I consciously, from my heart, connect. Even if I don't see anything, I connect to, whatever, like if there's any benevolent ships or extraterrestrials, and even to the planets. And I know we have the Taurus fields, and oftentimes I'll merge the Taurus fields, mine and something else. So thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Great wisdom there you have.
It's so cool to have, at least two of you guys are from Mount Shasta. It's so cool to have you here in the group. Really excited about that. Michael, you are next. Thank you so much for joining us and for all the beautiful work that you do in the world.
Welcome everybody. Hi, Altair. I watched Cloud Atlas last night, and I was wondering earlier on, that's not part of the question, what our connection in previous lifetimes and future lifetimes is going to be, because we're all interconnected. I have a question. I had a beam of light. Getting back to your experience in the bedroom, and I was lying down, and I had a beam of light come through the window, through the ceiling into my body, and it created a physical experience within my body. It shook me and completely changed my life. I was looking for an answer when I came back to Canada. I was looking for an answer within Christianity and went to church. And are you potentially saying that this might have been a Stargate?
As soon as you mentioned that about the beam of light that came into your body and shifted your experience so dramatically, I'm saying, actually, I think you are connecting to the rainbow light body itself, which is strongly connecting through many ancient traditions, sometimes called the light body, sometimes called the rainbow light body, and that particular body of energy and information is in itself a portal. It's that we often hear about in ancient traditions. I think you have that capacity to touch into actually that formlessness that allows you to be a portal?
That was my that's the telepathic question that you just answered or asked, because I had a galactic grandmaster, if I can say that way, appear to me, and so I believe that I believe I came here in with a mission, and part of that mission, or that mission, is the liberation of the human family, and I have no doubt about it. And I've seen my interaction in the Galactic Federation, if I can say it that way, and telepathy and children. There's no aging. There's, you choose what age you become or which age you are, and there is no. It's just love and light and radiance, if I can say it that way. And at the same time, I've had this galactic presence appear in front of me, almost like an elevator coming up ever so slowly, and it was the most powerful radiating energy that I've ever experienced. It wasn't necessarily a powerful loving experience, but it was a powerful presence, immensely, and I have no idea what I saw, and so can you speak into that? And then I have another question. I'm not sure whether that was because of Cloud Atlas and having a conversation with Zenka last night. This morning I woke up and I thought I had been taken in my sleep, and I have quite often, I have those when I wake up, when I transition from the dream time into the wake time, I feel that I've left the planet actually and went somewhere, and can you speak into those two things for me, please?
Yes, sure. So two things happened while you were speaking. There's a lot of light around you, and I got rapid transmission of light as you were speaking. So the first thing is, there's two different things here. One is, if I speak to coming here with a mission. So as soon as you said liberation of the human family, and you mentioned a couple of sentences later, radiance, there was a bright light in my room. So you're here to do that. You are that radiance. You're not separate from it. You are that radiance. So your interaction in the Galactic Federation, which has been to receive that mission, to where they've said, you're here in this physical form. It's all to do with liberation of the human family, and you're to teach people about the technology of radiance. So, and how to actually activate that within the body. So the galactic presence that's been coming to you is actually from the Galactic Federation, is actually a guide and a mentor that we've worked with over some lifetimes, who actually comes back to remind you that, for example, where you had that elevator arising, and I know exactly that's experiences two things there. That powerful radiation is actually also a pointer to future technology, to when Earth will actually develop through nanotechnology, actually real space elevation or space elevators. In other words, know how to go and exist, because at certain points we will build platforms out beyond the Earth's atmosphere and space, because that's going to be a natural. So one is that you're feeling into future technologies because you've got that access. And then the other one is that when you mentioned that you were woken up and taken in sleep, as soon as you said left the planet, there was a bright light above my head. And that is speaking to the fact that you have this incredibly powerful, and this is the being that's talking about that elevator, you have this incredibly powerful relationship with the Sushumna, or the inner mother channel, what's also known as Uma, or the rainbow light channel, because you're a rainbow light being. And that as you start to activate that more and more, because you're working with radiance and liberation of the human planet, you just simply need to connect to that channel like an elevator, and just simply lift up and out, and you've immediately left the body. So you have that kind of, this is a testament to the power of your ability to leave the body, that the galactic presence has or who, your mentor from the Galactic Federation has been coming here again and again and again to help assist you and make that teaching practice that you can share as part of your Radiance program. I actually think the name Radiance is a great name for your program, but just by the way, that ability you have to use the rainbow light tubes of the Uma or the mother channel to leave and return to the body is a skill that you can teach others as part of your liberation of the human planet. Because obviously most people think we're in this human body, but in fact our evolution is to evolve to the light body so that we're not actually restricted by the physical movement, and we can move freely, as many of you are already aware of. So I hope that makes some sense and helps put it into very practical.
It does, and within your voice is also it's almost like me hearing your voice, and there is something almost like tongues, light language going on at the same time. So if the information hasn't fully entered and if I didn't have the capacity to fully understand what you're saying, I believe that the other part of your language is working on that. So I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, curiously, when you started the very first part, when you started to speak about the liberation of your human family, I always go on mute and I note down keywords of what people say. And then so I did actually speak light language to your to that Galactic Federation mentor who was present and was saying, don't forget to remind Michael about the power of this rainbow light body that he has such immediate access to and is going to teach humans for the liberation of the human family. Yeah, so thank you too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. You know, we have chakras and they all have colors, and when they line up very perfectly, you have access to your rainbow light body. And it's a very powerful state to reach. And we hope to be helping you guys through that process in Contact 250. We are now at an hour and a half, and I just wanted to, I'm going to go ahead and share some links into the chat. So I'm going to share the Contact 250. You can just go to lightnet.org, but you can also just go to lightnet.org/Sedona 250. We are going to be giving you guys a special treat for joining us tonight, which is $35 off using the code webinar. So that's available. And we also have elder discounts and student discounts if you send your ID to us. So that's information is there in the chat. We are going to have one final Zoom Q&A with Altair on the 15th. And because we may not get to everyone tonight, depending on how Altair feels, we will be offering that Zoom to you guys to join if you didn't get your question asked or if you have a question that's coming up for you. So when you join Contact 250, your contact experience begins, right? You're going to be in the energy of it. You're going to be in the Telegram chat if you choose to. You're going to start to feel this community pull that's leading up to this very exciting moment in this very exciting experience. So Altair, how are you feeling right now?
If you ask me, I'm very happy to answer the last 4 questions. I will try to keep it brief, but
okay.
I'd love. I realize some people may have only catered for the time for up till now. So if that's the case, I totally understand. But if you'd like me to answer Bill, Mount Fargo, Susan, and Erica, I'm quite happy to do that. Great.
Thank you so much, Altair. So if you guys need to drop off, you can. If you want to stay, you can. We will be sending the archives out to this, so you'll have them and feel free to share with friends and things like that that you think would benefit. So Bill, welcome. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Hello, I'll make it real quick too. I had an experience where it wasn't visual, but I could feel a being, and it was just wanted to dance, slow dance, and it was very beautiful. But what was really amazing to me, it was more for that being than it was for me, I felt. And that I knew the being, but the being needed it to connect with me. And it was an awesome thing. And I guess my question would be, I would like to experience that more. So how do I do that?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. So first of all, Bill, you're an empath and you know that. So people are going to be attracted to you, and not just people, but obviously other beings. One of whom's here now is saying that she, they, because often it's genderless, because, well, not genders in the same way that we'd think about in terms of our human form, is that, so I'll say they, out of respect, that they actually want to connect with you because they can feel that empathic being. Now, a lot of connections that people make are often physical, and especially that dance of energies. A number of people had spoken about plasma before, and plasma energies tend to intertwine and have a vortex or a movement that is of spiral intertwining connections. So there's lots of different forms of plasma. I'm not going to go into the science of it too much, but I'm just aware that energy forms take many different parts. Now, dance or movement is one of those ways. In fact, I was speaking to a wonderful person yesterday about exactly this thing, about the connections that she made in the non-physical with through dance, through movement. So one thing that I'd encourage, as far as you said, how to make that connection. So obviously you have a feeling of that. Can I ask you, just where in your body do you feel that beautiful, amazing connection? Is it all over? Is it your belly, chest, head?
In my chest and my heart. That
Okay.
one was really pronounced in my heart.
Yeah. So, okay. So what I would suggest, and this is to everybody, just a very simple practice you can do. After this, I would go down and write every detail that you can remember onto a sheet of paper, every single detail you can remember about that experience. Then I would record that experience yourself, just using your voice. And then as you go to sleep, I would play that back to yourself. And as you go to sleep, use it to go to sleep. And first and foremost, you'll contact that being in your sleep, and you'll contact that being through your dreams. Now, that being actually has come to you not only from your galactic connections, but also a past life. So you've had a past life with her here on this planet, but equally you've had a connection with her on another planet. So that's why she's reaching out to you. So she actually wants that connection. She wants you to recognize, the key is recognition. She wants you to recognize that that connection is alive, heartfelt, and very, very real. So my suggestion is, just as I said, write all the details down, record them on something that you can play back, have your phone or whatever it is beside your bed, play it to yourself as you go to sleep, play it for a total of 21 days, and then note down anything, any interactions that happen in your sleep state and also in your waking state. And that will, you'll write to Zenka and report some of the things that happen. You'll find it really, really extraordinarily liberating. So I hope that little piece of advice is helpful, because I've used that particular practice with many people who've had exactly those similar experiences to you, and they just say, look, you won't believe it. I did that for a few days, nothing happened. Then suddenly, even in the physical, they were connecting with people that they didn't know, who were remarking on different energy shifts in the person's body. They were having dreams of and then they went out under the stars and they made connections with craft. So just trust the foundation that she's bringing you. She's bringing you a lot of wisdom that she wants you to be present to in your body. It's all about embodied presence.
Well, I'm excited and I'm going to try that. And thank you very much.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Bill. Appreciate that. So Magdalene Fuego. Did I get it right, Magdalene?
Yes. Hi.
Great.
So infinite gratitude to Zenka, Altair, everyone who's here. So this is my question. I feel like I've taken on some of humanity's collective darkest psyche elements. And I used to feel shame about it because I thought I identified it as part of me, but now I've seen that it's something that I'm meaning to help with in the collective. So I have been connecting to certain beings and using certain techniques to deal with it. But my question is, I just really want to know, am I making a difference in the world with this by trying to deal with it? And I don't know, it just feels like such a heavy lift, and like kind of like I'm dragging through the mud. And will there be brightness in the future?
What a Magdalene or Madeline?
Yes, so my name is Madeline, but now, Zenka, that you said Magdalene, I started to kind of feel that within my presence as well. That's strange.
Wow.
Yeah, beautiful. That was what I felt too, because I actually, even though you said Madeline, I wrote down Magdalene too. So I'm feeling into the presence of Mary Magdalene, you know, the fact that you actually have that kind of connection, that you, no matter what the suffering of Christ or any others of us here, that you're still going to work on that incredible power that you have to bring compassion in, even in the side of suffering. And it brings to mind the stories of some of the Tibetan nuns and monks whom I have very close associations with. And when they were they were being tortured in the prisons of one of those countries that captured them. And they said that the biggest thing that they feared was not the torture, but they would lose the power of compassion, to lose the power to feel care or kindness or compassion for their torturers, for their prisoner, for the people that had imprisoned them. Now, I feel into that you've had many lifetimes actually where you've been persecuted, or where you've actually had to confront and be with the darkness of humanity in prior lives. So this lifetime you've become very wise and very compassionate, and you're not alone. And one of my mothers, Kuan Yin, or Kuan Shi Yin Pusa in Chinese, who I prayed in front of a statue of and had a pearl emerge from her heart, she always said to me, don't forget I have 1,000 arms. So you are one, like me, who works a lot with trauma. My entire day, I work with clients all day long, every day in trauma therapy. And you can't, the incredible depths of suffering that have struck our planet on all levels, not helped in any way by pandemics, oil rigs, war, economic plight, inequality, racism, sexism, you name it. The degree of suffering can make many of us feel weighed down or under a burden, but there are those 1,000 arms of the goddess of compassion, Kuan Yin, to assist us, and we are each one of her arms. So I just encourage you, number one, is to reach out for the blessings of the lineage, what I'd call the lineage guardians. Now, do you have a particular affinity with any particular, obviously Mary Magdalene is showing up to say that you are under her care. That's why both Zenka and I feel have misnamed you in a very beautiful way. So is there a particular lineage or connection that you feel aligned to?
Yes, Mary Magdalene, Christ, and for some reason, India in general. I felt a strong pull towards India, like I've lived there before, maybe, even though I've never been there in this life.
Yeah. So my suggestion is that every morning and every night when you wake up, is that you first of all go to an intention, and that is that your whole day or your whole night, you're going to dedicate everything that happens to the liberation of the suffering of the planet. That's number one, intention. Number two is just a simple connection to the blessings of Magdalene and Christ. And the way I do it is I'd feel Mary Magdalene as if she's right in front of you. Feel her as if she's to your right. feel her as if she's behind you and supporting you. Feel her as if she's to your left, and then do the same with Christ. Feel Christ in front of you, to your right, supporting you, behind you, to your left, and then feel both of them below you, holding you like a mother would a baby, and then above you. Finish off with them above you, and then go about your day, always aware that you're supported by the blessings of that sacred lineage of Christ and Magdalene. And anytime you feel a little bit worried, look above, and they'll be right there. So do not despair ever. We're all here with exactly the same mission, and that is to bring love and compassion to the planet. So I hope that's helpful. Is there light? Absolutely. We're the light. Trust me, there is light because we are that. And that light is shining incredibly brightly. And it needs Madeline, you, to be sharing with people about the powers of the blessings of the lineage of Magdalene and Christ and all other blessings of all lineages and all the different sacred traditions, so that people can actually focus on that rather than on suffering, so that then they're strong enough. I think it was Christ that said, there are others that will come in my name who will do the same or more powerful works than I. So that's you, and that's all of us here, and we're all supporting each other in that.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Yeah, Madeline, just before I finish that, Christ appeared to me when I was 15, just once in my life, as Christ appeared, and gave me a certain assistance that helped friends who were possessed in those days. And I was able to help them release that suffering, and have been able to do so ever since. So trust that you're extremely well supported, and nothing, I've got to be careful I don't get tears. Absolutely nothing can assail the power of love, which you have. Absolutely nothing. It is an unshakable, absolutely infinite power of compassion and love that you hold here, right in your heart. Okay, Zenka, back to you on that. Thank you, Madeline, for bringing that out of me. It's your wisdom.
Big heart, huge heart. Okay, great. Susan, great to see you. Welcome. What's your question?
Oh, thank you, Zenka. I'm so grateful to be here with this wonderful group. I just feel the power and the energy here. I'd like to start off with the story of Christ as well, of Jesus. When I was 2, I had a near-death experience following an MR vaccine. My body was in a coma for 2 weeks on life support. I'm going to make it very short, but when I crossed over, I remember the first person I met was this lovely woman who I learned when I was 15 was my grandmother, who had died when my father was 10. The second person I met, I should say, was Jesus. I had never been to church before, so I was only 2. And I met this man, his name was Jesus, and he was so amazing. And he asked me if I wanted to return. And I said, no way. And through my journey on the other side, I can only tell you it was the most magnificent place. It's not even a place, it's just magnificent, beyond words, beyond love, beyond, I'm sure you're aware of all of this. And at the end of this time that I was there, I had met people who had asked me if I wanted to go back, and I kept saying no. And at the end, he said, but it's not her time yet. And his fist came down on the table at the same moment my mother unzipped the oxygen tent. So my life has been filled with extraordinary events. I always had that sense of love and consciousness within me, and I never understood how people could be so cruel to one another. Later on, when I was 17, I had an encounter with 5 Pleiadian ships who were taking off in Niagara Falls, were lifting off the ground and leaving. It was at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's a long story. I'll keep it really short. But following that event, amazing event, and I wanted to go with them. And I had always used to, from when I was 4, I'll have to back up a minute. I always wanted to go leave the planet. So I'd pray for a spaceship to come. First, I'd pray for happiness, world peace, and the last thing was for a spaceship to come and take me home. So when I had this encounter, I thought, oh, my ship's here to come and take me, but they didn't. So here I still am. But following that, I kept having these visionary dreams. Wouldn't call them dreams. They were like astral projections into the whole future. And I was very much there, and I traveled right through to this time and beyond. So I won't get into all those details, but there was a message I was given, was that only those who consciously acknowledge God as the source and essence of their being as love will survive the apocalypse that is to come. And I was shown that it would start, this physical action of it would start. It had begun long ago, but it started in 2020, what we're encountering right now. So we are in that right now. And I see all these wonderful people here, and there's a purpose for us all being here. And we are here to show and shed the light to the people of the world. So I'm just wondering, my question is, how do we do that cumulatively, but individually? How can we best be our best and shine our light in that way? That was a beautiful message you gave to Magdalene. Thank you.
Susan, lovely to see you, and thank you for that beautiful question. So in really simple terms, as you were speaking, your grandmother spoke to me, and she arrived with this strong frequency of blue light. And how to do this individually is to actually recognize that our grandmother, symbolically, so for you it's your grandmother, because she was the guide who actually presented Jesus to you. So if you look at that connection, that strongly speaks to the same sort of lineage that I was speaking to Madeline about. So first and foremost is to start to recognize the roots of love, and exactly as you said, the power of humanity to show and shed the light. Because I get that that's your question. How do we best show and shed the light? So first of all is acknowledging those roots and actually learning to stand in that frequency of God or consciousness or love or light, however we feel that frequency for us. And then know that that is exactly what our planet needs. Just in the same way as we have spent $700 billion in the US on military efforts, there is going to come a time very soon when all of that will collapse and shift, and there will be a shift into financing exactly what our world needs: peace and love. Why are we not doing that already? We already have the resources to do it. It seems so incredibly short-sighted of humanity to just be bombing countries and having fights between countries over economies. I mean, this is just clearly short-sightedness. So the power of us individually is to, and I'm going to use your symbol, is to connect with our grandmothers, to connect, in other words, to connect with our lineage, our ancestry, our roots, and our sacred lineages, just as Madeline has pointed to, of Magdalene, Christ, any of the lineages, whether they're Buddhist lineages, Muslim lineages, whether they're Christian lineages, you want to actually walk that connect. Oh, and lots of paths open up in front of me in terms of like silver shimmering light. So it's speaking to all your paths, of course, is that when we really deeply honor all the sacred traditions that are on our planet, and we actually invest and share in that collectively, then we're going to have a really powerful collective energy. Now, and just practically, so I'm involved with, obviously, Zenka, who's doing this collectively. I'm involved with a Hong Kong-based company that's also doing this collectively. And I'm involved with an Australian company that's doing this collectively, and one more US company that's doing it collectively. And they're involving big numbers. Some of them are not what I would call publicly profiled companies, because they're working with people high up in government and financial institutions to bring about health, well-being, love, wisdom, care. So I'm very fortunate in that most of my travels around the world are all funded by those organizations to bring love, light, to share the light, to shed the love, to actually put people back in touch with God within, or source within, or love within. So individually, connect with your root, just like the indigenous, I always often think if we just stuck with our indigenous pathways, we would be still in harmony with nature. And that is what we've missed. So really trust your roots, and then look at what those sacred lineage connections are, whether they're with Christ and Magdalene and the Pleiades, you're connecting with it on many multiple levels. So when you connect with that and you find that really solid ground, because the key is to be grounded in that. People want to feel that not only is there substance, but that it actually is a frequency that manifests. Most people are dealing with really basic issues, health issues, financial issues, relationship issues, life purpose issues. So they want to know that you can guide them into deeper love, greater peace. So the benefits of what those root foundations do for you as an individual can then be shared with other individuals, and that in turn allows you to connect and create and have supportive groups. And those supportive groups are then going to be founded in the same principles, really deep, strong root connections, ancestral connections, just like the indigenous elders, really deep connections with our beautiful planet. And that's the earth wisdom herself, really strong connections with our own blessings of sacred lineages like Christ and Magdalene, like the Buddha and the great practices of any of the ancient traditions, deeply founded in, for example, the traditions of the Star Nations, which is also what the indigenous people have said. I work with the Achuar people of the Amazon, and they have a direct and a very clear and coherent connection with the Pleiades. And they speak to the Pleiades. They have a garden where they go to, where the woman, actually not the men, where the woman connect with the Pleiades and bring through messages and source of information support for the tribe. So just to know that this has been done on all different levels in our planet, and that it needs all of you. So hopefully, Susan, that was what a beautiful question. Very rich, deep.
Well, I have to add one thing that you commented on. I'm working with the Alliance of Indigenous Nations and bringing all the nations around the world together, uniting right now. And I've been working with do their media and such. So, I mean, you've hit on everything, every note. You've hit on it. Thank you so much for your wisdom, for the light that you're sharing and shedding. And I just feel that all these people in here, Zenka, you're an amazing woman who has brought so many together. God bless you. So I want to thank you very much for this.
Well, God bless you too. It's literally your wisdom that's bringing this out of Zenka and I. We're not separate, right? I mean, you're me, I'm you, I'm Zenka, she's me. We're all each other. We're all actually feeling into the potential of that as being a collective love, that we can literally support each other in that. So thank you, Susan. Okay,
thank you.
last
so much.
God bless you too.
Great. Erica, you are the last question. Thanks to all who are here tonight. It's been a wonderful evening to spend with you as we close with Erica's question. Erica, can you hear us? Okay, since we don't see her, maybe she's stepped away from the computer. If you scroll up in the chat, you can see we are going to have one more Q&A session. So you can join that. If you have any other questions, you can just email us at team@lightnet.org. And thank you so much, Altair, for, I feel really lightweight right now. The vibrations are really high, and all of your love, everyone who's here, we do have an additive effect. And again, this isn't woo-woo, this is science. We know this from spoon bending. One person's energy and belief adds to the next and adds to the next. So this is what happens when you get 36 people together in a moment, and to open our hearts and to focus our intentions on evolution. So yeah.
Beautiful, Zenka. And I know a lot of people that have mentioned this to me are going to watch this after. So I want to sing out to your hearts. Thank you to everybody who's participated. It's truly, the reason it feels so rich is we're feeling into each other's wisdom here. And we're simply sitting and holding a safe and a trusting and a loving container for all of us to express our hearts. Many of the questions, even though you mightn't have asked them personally yourself, you'll be feeling just like me. Oh, I wish I could have asked Susan's question. Oh, I love that. Or I love Madeline's, we're feeling into each other's hearts. That's the beauty of this. So thank you. Thank you for your time, your grace, and your patience, and deepest love. And Zenka, a billion thanks and more to you for all that you do. You've brought us all together. So thank you. I'm just your humble servant at this point. So great, deep gratitude always.
Thank you so much, Altair. Julie asked about September 15th. So once again, this will be the Friday before we launch into this Contact 250. So we'll do one last Q&A with Altair. And then that Thursday following that on the 21st, we launch together. This group of people coming together to have this very deep, profound experience. So we'll be starting with your charts, and the rest will be history. So yeah, good night, and thanks so much, everyone. Okay, good night.